Quite frankly, Reggie, Landover Baptist Church, in all modesty, is the largest collection of worthwhile people to ever exist. We're probably the only church in America today full of true Christians. By that I mean Christians who believe every word of the Bible comes straight from God's lips. You know, there's lots of Christians, so-called Christians, call them pseudo-Christians, faux Christians, who believe in all this liberal stuff that's been just going all through our society for the last 4 decades. There are all these people who call themselves Christians today who believe the Bible is nothing but a tiny little pamphlet with the verse John 3:16. They parade that verse around at football games on banners, and they'll tell you that all you got to do to go to heaven is to ask Jesus into your life. According to these pseudo-Christians, you can murder, rob, rape, pillage, child molest, drink, dance, and marry another race, and you're still going to heaven so long as you ask Jesus into your life. Well, we don't believe that at Landover. We believe in the whole Bible, and there are thousands of Bible verses that say just the opposite. In fact, most people are going straight to hell.
Oh, really?
Well, it says it right in the New Testament, straight from Jesus' lips. 1 Corinthians chapter 6, Ephesians chapter 5, Galatians chapter 5 says that no adulterer, idolater, fornicator, effeminate, abuser of themselves with mankind, that's the homosexuals, thieves, revilers, or extortioners can enter the kingdom of heaven. Now, that may not sound like a lot of folks at first, but indeed it is when you look at other Bible verses. Because you see, in Matthew chapter 5, verse 32, Jesus tells us that anyone who divorces and then remarries is an adulterer. So all these so-called Christians that are in 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, or Zsa Zsa Gabor numbered marriages are going straight to hell. Matthew also tells us that any man who lusts after a woman has already committed adultery. So all these men who go around ogle-eyeing women are going straight to hell. Idolaters, that's all them Catholics, they're going to hell. And that other group I call the Catholic Lights, the Episcopalians, because they worship statues of mortals, pictures of Mary and Joseph and the other so-called saints. They're going to hell. And, of course, the fornicators. All people that have premarital sex are going to hell. So even in the New... And, of course, the homosexuals, but that went without saying. Well, we got 157,234 members at last count. Now, you got to understand that our membership changes from day to day because just about everybody of any quality wants to come to Landover. It's really America's favorite church.
Okay. Over just for white Baptists? Is it for can blacks and other races and Jews participate in Landover?
Now you know you got to understand a couple things. We're not prejudiced at Landover.
Oh, you're okay.
I assure you that if you go look in anybody's yard or in any kitchen of any member of Landover, you'll see more minorities than you'd see in any kind of major city in the United States. So there's not a racist bone in anybody's body at Landover. But you got to understand that we are honor-bound to respect the curse of Ham. You know the curse of Ham, I'm sure.
I've heard this story, but a lot of that's been taken out of most Bibles, right?
Well, now, you can't take something out of the Bible, son, because the Bible's the Word of God. It never changes. It just doesn't change.
Well, it's not in... I haven't seen any story of Ham in some of the Bibles. Tell me more about the story of Ham.
Genesis chapter 9, verses 18 through 27 says that Noah's 3 sons, Shem, Japheth, and Ham, were out one night, and Noah got himself drunk. Now, we don't condemn drinking, but it happens, and it happened to poor Noah. And Noah got a little drunk and took off all his clothes and pranced around his little tent there. Well, that wasn't good, but he passed out eventually, and his two of his sons knew better than to go stare at their father's willy whacker.
Oh,
But
okay.
Ham, unfortunately, did not. Actually, it was Ham who walked into the tent just to get a look at his father. That was the beginning of something that they call voyeurism.
Mm-hmm.
And Ham's brothers then walked backward with a blanket, covered their father, and never saw the nakedness. And when Noah rose, he realized what Ham had done, and he cursed Ham's son Canaan and all his descendants to be servants of mankind forever.
Oh, so if according to, and well, of course, I assume you believe this. So if that's the case, then blacks should still be servants today. Is that what I'm hearing from Landover? Is that?
Well, now, that's correct. Now, we do pay them today, and of course, they didn't used to do that. So, in that sense, things are a little different. The world has gotten kind of liberalized, and some of it we've had to put up with. You can't. God said you got to give to Caesar what's Caesar, and God's what's God. And unfortunately, sometimes we have to concede to all these liberal changes, but we try to avoid them as much as possible.
Okay. Wow. Okay. Well, yeah. Well, it sounds like you're doing what you got to do to survive, but it sounds like you definitely would. I'm sure members at Landover would like to see blacks once again serving. Well, what about slavery? I mean, how does Landover feel about slavery?
Well, now you've got to understand there are Bible verses that expressly tell masters how to treat their slaves. You're not to abuse your slave.
Okay.
You have to give your slave a certain days off. You can't make an injured slave work, and the Bible's loaded with verses. Well,
that's just like today's society, then. That's no problem.
I'm sorry, son, I didn't hear you.
Well, that's just like today's society, isn't it? We try not to make people work when they're injured. So I didn't know the Bible was full of such moral guidelines.
Oh, the Bible has something to say on just about every subject you could imagine. In fact, you know what's wrong with the world today?
What is that, Brother Harry?
We have all these people out there that they call themselves things like free thinkers,
right,
philosophers, open-minded. They have all these little terms they use to describe themselves, just like all of people with satanic views do. And what they do is they ignore the Bible, and they read the Bible and they question it, and they start to critically analyze, as they put it, the Bible, to see whether they think it's true. And our philosophy is that when you open your mind, you're extending an open invitation to Satan to enter your mind and your heart. And when Satan gets in there, he'll make you think there's contradictions and inconsistencies and all this stuff, when really there's nothing wrong with the Bible. What you got to do is just blindly accept and have faith in the Bible, and Satan won't ever get to you. After all, why would God give us a book that tells us every single thing we're supposed to do and believe if he wanted us going around questioning